North Dakota first.
Now it's time for Ag Watch. As always, meteorologist Kenny Miller is breaking down and taking a look at our overall ag situation here and across the state. Take a look.
In North Dakota, over 80% of the spring wheat crop is still rated in good to excellent condition. Over half of the state's spring wheat is turning color and 7% is rated as being mature, similar to average overall. Producers in North Dakota report that both the spring wheat and durum crops look promising for the most part. Hot temperatures last week, though, especially in the western part of the state, may have stressed some of the later planted crop, however, taking off some of the yield potential. Most of the wheat crop is still at least 1 to 2 weeks away from that early harvest. Precip recently has been very scattered with some isolated heavy amounts in our central areas. The crop appears to be finishing nicely, but the overall effects from the recent heat and disease pressure remain admittedly unknown, and rain would be most welcome in some areas for our later developing wheat. Fortunately, we trend a little bit wetter heading into this week. In terms of corn, we made some progress last week, getting from 10% to 40% in terms of our silking progress. Now, the number is still quite a bit behind the 65% from this time last year and the 54% from the 5-year average. 59% of our state's corn is currently rated in good condition, which is a drop-off from last week. So we have two concerning factors at play here. We're behind where we need to be in terms of overall corn development, and the corn that is developing is struggling in terms of its overall quality. So we have both a quality and a quantity issue at play here. As a result, current yield projections are trending on the lower side at the end of the year. Our drought monitor shows increasing dryness out across the west, particularly in southwestern locations. That is reflected heavily in the crop moisture index shown here. Now, the Crop Moisture Index, or CMI, provides the short-term or current status of purely agricultural drought or moisture surplus in a given area. Most of western and southwestern North Dakota are either excessively or severely dry, which is putting some stress on most, if not all, crops in that region. Now, this graphic here shows the cumulative rainfall totals across the state from July. Notice how dry western portions of the state have been recently. In fact, most western locations are running 50% below monthly averages in terms of precip totals. Needless to say, we definitely need some more rain out across the western tier of the state. Fortunately, the pattern trends a bit cooler and wetter for the next 2 weeks. We'll see how much of an improvement that can provide when we look at this data again at the same time next week. For the KX Storm Team, I am Chief Meteorologist Kenny Miller.
And be sure to tune in again next week, and of course keep watching for the full forecast coming up in just a bit. And plenty more coming up on KX News at 4.